Choose your life's mate carefully. From this one decision will come 90% of all your happiness or misery. Never deprive someone of hope. It might be all that they have. Never waste an opportunity to tell someone you love them. Remember that 80% of the success in any job is based on your ability to deal with people. And lastly, don't expect life to be fair.
When people get married, what do they do with their finances? Do they just suddenly combine everything?
Yes.
They do?
Yes.
And like split everything right down the middle?
No, you combine everything. There's no middle. The preacher didn't say, and now you're a joint venture. He said, and now you're one.
So what if one person makes more than the other? Like
You're not a partnership. You're a marriage. There is no... Let me give you an example, okay?
Okay.
My wife has not had an earned income for 30 years. She stayed home with our children. I do not have an income. We have an income.
Okay.
And so it's our income, and she and I sit down. Were she to earn an income, it would be in the pile with mine, and I don't get more votes if I make more money. I've been reading this stuff. The number one cause of divorce in North America today is money fights and money problems. And couples, there's a high correlation with couples that are married that build wealth and couples that work together. Couples that don't work together don't have nearly as high a statistical probability of becoming wealthy.
I saw him at the race where he broke all the bones in his feet, you know? That's how I met him.
He broke all the bones in his feet?
I was running this race. It was a 24-hour race as a relay team. I was with 4 friends. The format of the race is you run a mile, I run a mile. Whatever team runs the most amount of miles wins the race. He had no teammates.
If a young man does not have self-confidence, he will not make wise decisions because he's too afraid of being rejected and being kicked out of the tribe. So self-confidence is sort of the birthplace of virtue. If you believe that you are a person of capacity, then you don't care about rejection if you do the right thing. You just don't care. You read the book of Proverbs, you're like, yep, that's me. And guess what? If people don't like it, they can go kick rocks.
Act like the person you want to become. That's not fake it till you make it, by the way. This is intentional. Intentionally act like the person you want to become. Because when you intentionally act like the person you want to become, your brain sees you taking those actions, so your brain starts to change the way it relates to you. When your brain sees you high-fiving yourself in the mirror, it starts to go, oh, wait a minute, Stephen loves himself. Stephen's cheering for himself. We don't beat Stephen up.
I was fired from a TV show because I wouldn't do a kissing sex scene. This is something I'm not comfortable doing, and I just don't want to do it. They said, you have to do it or we're going to fire you. I'm like, well, I'm not going to do it. So they fired me. I couldn't get a job. And because of that, I lost my big, beautiful house in Los Angeles, my shiny Mercedes, all my stuff, and my swagger. And as you can imagine at the time, I was really crushed. They thought that I was some religious zealot, but to me, it was just that I didn't think it was the right thing to do. And also, I really love my wife. And as I've said, and I'll say it a million times, these lips are meant for one woman.
Why do we need to master our mindset? Well, because left to our own devices, our minds kind of play tricks on us. Over time, we tell ourselves stories, we develop beliefs and attitudes and perspectives that may or may not serve us. And usually these things are operating on autopilot under the surface on a subconscious level, and you're not even aware that you're being guided by this internal operating system. A lot of people just go through life and think that their thoughts and their feelings and their insecurities are just things that happen to them naturally. But if you do any kind of research or personal growth work, you quickly find that you can actually influence this operating system, and you can change your outlook on life and the way that you show up in the world. However, to do that, first of all, it takes awareness, but it also takes a practice. It takes developing new habits.
You should be a monster. He said you should be a monster, you should be ruthlessly ambitious, and then learn how to control it. And it's that old expression, it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war.
Some people think, man, I don't know how we're gonna get through this. I don't know how we're gonna get through this. I don't know how we're gonna get through this. And I just like to go, well, how did you get through the last thing? How'd you get through 2020? How'd you get through 2021? You're stronger than you think you are. So if we can look at past failures, if we can look at past resistance, if we can look at past challenges and go, You know what? If I had enough strength to get through that, well then don't I have enough strength to get through this?
Do you ever have a day where you just think, fuck it, I can't be asked to do anything. I'm not going for a run, I'm not stretching, I'm doing nothing.
Every day. I can't do it. There may be some days I get up with poopy pants and I'm like, you know what, man? Fuck this, man. Like, why am I having this such a structured life? Why? And I'm like, you know what? I'm good. I'm done with this shit. And I sit around and I say, okay, so you want to be normal. So you just want to be like everybody else that roams the world, not knowing the power that's in them, being fine with being mediocre. I'm like, fuck that, man.
And you have that conversation with yourself every day?
Not every day, it's those bad days.
Yeah.
It's those bad days. I see a whole bunch of people walking around out here who have no idea how talented they truly are. Now I'm talking about talent, like some God-given ability. Talent that sometimes you have to hone, you have to work on, and you have to harness yourself. And they just walk around just on their phones, just clueless to how powerful they are.